Hi, my name is Sierra and this is Evergreen Gardens. I did realize that I haven't introduced myself. I do have 100 subscribers, so thank you guys for being interested in watching these videos. So I think I should introduce myself a little. Again, my name is Sierra. I decided to do this channel because I want to learn how to garden in a more ecological way. I want to bring pollinators to my garden. Funny enough, there's actually a family of raccoons living in our compost right now. We did take a little photo and we haven't messed with them since. We're gonna leave them alone and let them have their privacy, but I will put a little, well, Laura will put a little clip of the family in the video. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, I really just wanted to document my journey learning of how to garden, but in a way that's more ecological. And yeah, so that's what Evergreen Gardens is. And yeah, we might as well continue on and get started with the video today. We're going to be doing a little gardening tour because things are a little bit different. I did move some things around and I want to give an update on some of the plants that we've already talked about in previous videos. So let's check it out. So obviously from last video, we did rearrange the garden a little. It was looking a little cluttered and a little messy. So I kind of wanted like a sitting area like here so you could kind of sit and enjoy the whole garden instead of it being kind of shoved in the corner, which I just didn't really like the look of it. So we have this seating area, and of course I had to add my table. So it looks like there's no sun here, and honestly in winter there's really like pretty much hardly any sun on this patio at all. So I kind of just figured it doesn't really matter where I put the tables because they're just not going to get sun anyways. At least not full sun. So I do know that this area gets tons of sun in the spring and summer. Actually pretty much everything except for like here. So like about pretty much this part doesn't get sun in the summer. So it's a good spot for everything, I think, but again, we'll readjust when it comes time that I have. When it comes summertime. There we go. Alright, so the seating areas here, we have this whole open space now, and you can actually see all of the, what do you even call that? The part where there's actually dirt? I don't know. All of this area that I actually plant in the ground, I can actually see it now. Whereas before, I really couldn't see most of it because there was this table and this were like kind of going this way, and they were like blocking everything, so I couldn't really see anything. And of course, I do want to plant some bigger plants here, and I want to be able to see them. And that hibiscus will also get really big, so you'll actually be able to see that. But yeah, so we have this whole open area here. This is gonna have pretty much all of my plants that like can handle shade. So I just have my mints and this parsley, and that's all we got there. Yeah, so that's it for the layout. Let's talk about the plants. So we have planted some things, and let's update you on that. Okay, so let's start on this table first because there's something exciting that I want to mention. This lavender plant, when I first got it, it did not look anything like this. It is really happy, and it looks like we are getting some blooms, which I'm very excited about because I've obviously never had this plant when it was blooming since I just got it not that long ago from my stepdad. But I didn't know that lavender grew that well in Florida. So kind of fun. Alright, so anyway, so that's the lavender plant. I do have the pot here where I planted that oregano, the sage, and the thyme. Nothing has sprouted yet, I don't think. Yeah, nothing has sprouted yet. I also have my pepper plants. Honestly, all of these are pepper plants, all four of these. And I think that they're kind of pretty much done. I just got a bunch of peppers off of this one not that long ago. This one does have a few growing in, but it's probably going to take them a long time to ripen if the fruit does ripen, because it's getting kind of colder and they obviously like heat. And then this is my fig. And okay, can you show these little blooms here, or little stick things? I am curious if I'm gonna get fruit. I don't know. Maybe not, because this one kind of looks like a leaf over here. I don't know. But I would be very excited if I got figs. But anyways, so this one's doing pretty good. Actually, it's doing really good. And then we've got our little passion fruit over here. I think this kind of needs to be repotted, but we're not doing that today. Anyways, now we're gonna move on to the area where we planted a bunch of seeds. Okay, I actually just noticed that I do have a broccoli sprout, so that's pretty exciting. If you look right here, there's a little sprout. Alright, so onions, nothing has sprouted yet, but onions do take a long time to sprout, so I'm still hopeful. In the big pot, we have some things going on. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the kale. Nothing has germinated, and in fact, I don't think anything will germinate. I'm gonna plant more kale seeds. Like I mentioned, there's a raccoon family living in our compost bin over there, and something dug up around the kale, so I think it was probably the raccoon because it was kind of a mess. So I don't think the kale is gonna grow. But right next to it, I planted the spinach, and it has sprouted. You can actually see this the most out of anything that I've planted. So spinach has sprouted, and baby greens have also sprouted. Maybe alyssum has sprouted. It's kind of hard to tell because there are little plants that have sprouted up around the alyssum tag, but they look just like the sprouts of the baby greens. So I'm kind of wondering if when it rained, it moved some seeds around because they were surface sowed. So I'm not really sure. But we definitely have baby greens. So baby greens, spinach, and broccoli have all sprouted. That is very exciting. Now the bok choy. So if you guys remember, in the last video, I removed it from a different gardening pot and I planted it here, and it bolted. Well, it's starting to bolt. So I guess I'm not going to get bok choy. I could technically harvest it now and eat it as like baby bok choy, but I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna let the bloom go, which it is actually very good for pollinators, so might as well. So we're just gonna let that bolt, and we'll try again with the bok choy next year. So that's it for this area, and let's move on to our herb bed here. Okay, in this garden bed, we have cilantro, which has been growing here for a little while now. We also have this dill, which has been growing here for a while. I do need to thin it. There are 3 dill plants right here, but I'm having a hard time thinning it because it looks so much bushier with the 2 other plants. But anyways, we've got the dill plant. That's been growing for a while. The parsley and the chives is what I planted recently. Nothing has sprouted yet, but that's okay. We're gonna give it time. If the parsley doesn't sprout, I have that parsley plant over there, which I talked about earlier. I will move that into this gardening bed, probably. And the basil, we've also got that here. It is blooming. The blooms look beautiful, and I'm just letting it bloom. I know some gardeners like to cut it back so that way they can continue enjoying the basil, but I don't mind. I'm gonna let it flower. The bees love basil so much, so I'm gonna leave that here and just let it bloom. It's also beautiful. The blooms are beautiful. So that's it for this little herb garden. Let's move on to the in-ground planting. All right, first let's go over here. if you remember, I planted milkweed, which was like pretty much completely chopped down to a little tiny stick. And then I planted a blueberry not that long ago. These are both native plants. So this native swamp milkweed, if you look at the leaves, it obviously looks like something is kind of wrong with it, but I think it's just kind of shock. It is pushing out a bunch of new growth since it was literally just a stick when I planted it in. It does have quite a few new leaves, so that's good to see. But yeah, the coloring does look a little weird. I am aware of that. Just think it's shocked. And then right here we have our native wild blueberry. I'm excited to see if we get blueberries this spring. I don't know. We will see. Maybe it'll take a year, but I don't know. Anyways, it does have some that has died in the back. I'm not sure. Maybe I haven't been watering it as well as I should have been. So I'm going to start watering it better, and hopefully no more of it will die. So that's it. They do look good other than that. But that's it for this little area. Let's move on to some other things that we've already planted. Of course, you've already seen the bamboo, the banana tree. That's been here since the very beginning of this. Our hibiscus, which I cut completely down, is coming back. It doesn't seem to have too much of a pest problem anymore. Something is munching on the leaves, but that's fine. It needs a little snack, no problem. Mexican heather, looking great. It has come back much better. We've talked about that. This one I planted maybe a few weeks, maybe like a month or so before I planted this one. But this one was the size of this one. Honestly, maybe even like this much of it. So it has grown a lot. It is really happy in this spot, and I was actually worried when I first planted this because they do like a lot of sun, and you know, again, it's winter. Well, I guess it's technically still fall, but my patio hasn't been getting a lot of sunlight for a while. Since I planted this in, it wasn't getting a lot of sunlight, so I was kind of worried that I was going to struggle here, but it's really not struggling. It's actually quite happy here, so that makes me very happy. Okay, this is my lemon tree. It is a Eureka lemon, and it's a dwarf, I believe. At least that's what I told. It's a patio tree, so it should be able to grow in a pot just fine. So the reason I didn't plant this directly in the ground is because I do live in an HOA, so certain things I don't want to plant in the ground. I have gotten in trouble for planting certain things in the past. For example, there was actually bamboo here as well, but we did have to get rid of some things recently because they needed to build a new fence. So that's why this is not in the ground. I will not be planting this in the ground. This will come with us wherever we go. Alright, this is the loofah. It's actually kind of getting out of control. I really need to, and I'll probably be doing this later. Go get her. She is so cute. Okay, moving on. Sorry, that was distracting. I know that cats are not great for the environment, but they're so cute. I can't help it. Anyways, moving on. This loofah, yeah, out of control. So I actually really need to like somehow pin this up on the fence this way. So I'm probably gonna do that later, because it has been kind of wrapping around the lemon tree, and then I have to come out here and check it pretty often and make sure that it's not choking out my lemon tree. Yeah, so that's not great, but it's growing really well. It's like got so many blooms. Like, look, all of these are flowers. Isn't that crazy? It's doing amazing. It just keeps growing and growing and growing, and I'm running out of space. So I don't know what to do about that. But anyways, I love it. We're letting it go. It looks great. I have a few things planted here that we have planted within these videos. So this, I'm not sure if I actually planted this on camera. I can't remember. But this is a pepper plant. It's one of those pepper plants that's on that table that you already saw. I told you I have like, I think 5 on that table. This was another one that was in like a really tiny pot. And I actually just didn't have a bigger pot at the time. So I was like, all right, let me just plant it in the ground and see what happens. It actually is my healthiest looking pepper plant of any of them, which is actually really funny. Anything I plant in this soil right here just grows amazing. It must be very fertile, but anyway, so yeah, we've got a sweet pepper plant here. It doesn't actually have any fruit on it. I don't know if we'll get peppers from it, but anyways, it's happy there, so we're just gonna leave it. This is a blanket flower. It's looking like it's pretty much done blooming for a little while. There are a few that might bloom, but right now it doesn't have any blooms on it. It doesn't actually look great, but it's fine. It also was planted not that recently, so it needs some time to adjust and grow roots. Anyways, this here is calendula. I actually planted, before any of this was over here, I planted a bunch of seeds. I planted a bunch of calendula here in the front, only one survived. And then I planted a few different types of sunflowers in the back. Some of the sunflowers were kind of doing well, and then my cats tore them up. But anyways, we don't have to talk about that. Anyways, so yeah, I do have one calendula. I do have one calendula plant here in the front. Hopefully we'll get flowers. I don't really know when they bloom. Maybe spring, so we'll see. Moving on, this is my butterfly bush. Okay, honestly, I didn't know that butterfly bushes get as big as they do get. This thing gets like huge. It will get taller than the fence for sure if I let it grow. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was gonna take up so much space here, but I think I can kind of trim it down. I'm gonna let it be here though, because whenever it does bloom, it's not blooming right now, of course, but whenever it does bloom, the bees and the butterflies love this plant. And it gets really pretty, like long pink blooms, so that's gonna stay here even though, yeah, again, it's gonna get huge. It's probably gonna take up this whole thing. But anyways, moving on, I have our zinnias here. I did plant these from seed. They actually have some powdery mildew right now, and it kind of looks like the plant's kind of dying. There are quite a few blooms still on it, but it's just not looking very healthy. Maybe I'll see if I can deal with this. I don't know, but some of the blooms are still pretty. All right, we have one last little section in the garden. The only thing different I did here was I replaced that pineapple with a new one just now. I actually just did this like 5 minutes ago. Anyways, it doesn't look good. So, I think I might have taken off too much. So now it's not holding together very well. So I might have to replace it with a new one, but we get pineapples pretty often, so I may be replacing that again if it doesn't look that good. So anyways, alright, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It lets us know if you liked this content. Also, if there's anything you want to see us film, comment it in the comment section below. But other than that, thank you so much. I hope everyone had a very happy holiday season, and I will be wishing you a happy new year. Have a good one. Bye.